And thank you, Ronnie. All the kids going to Children's Church. Uncle Liz, you need any help today?
I'm great.
Do you have rope?
I got duct tape.
Duct tape is even better. All right. All right. And did you do our rock basket here? You didn't do that?
That looks like Liz today.
Did Liz do some of that? All right, well, we still have a few rocks. If you saw somebody this week that you just really liked, there's some rocks left. Thank you, Danny. That blessing keeps on giving, and I appreciate that. That's something that'll stick with you. It's a good reminder. It's a good illustration, and makes you think of one of the most wonderful stories in the Bible. Whoever did that, thanks. I do notice things. I've never preached this sermon before today. I've preached on this passage and told the story. It's about one of the stories of Jesus. Jesus communicated some of the most important things for us to know in stories. And he even explains why he used what the Bible calls parables, why he used them. He said, I want the people who are really trying to get it, to get it. And then he said, but the people that are really not trying to get it, he says, I don't want them to get it. So that sounds a little, sometimes a little harsh or severe, but Jesus said, there were many people, like the people who came and brought the woman to Jesus. They were not interested in knowing Jesus or learning more about Jesus or helping that woman. They were not seeking right or justice, or they weren't seeking God. They had their own agenda. They had their own evil deeds that they were pursuing. And so the Lord has put things. I think that's the way good preaching and good teaching is that you have to dig a little bit for it. You have to reach up a little bit to get it off the top shelf. Did I tell you that I probably have? I have my mother's birthday. My mother's 85th birthday would be next Sunday on the 11th. And we're thinking about how to remember her. We think about her all the time, but especially on next Sunday, trying to think how to remember her. But I probably told this story, but I remember that when the big yo-yo craze came out in the late 60s, that I wanted a Duncan yo-yo. And I had seen them on television, and it seemed like everybody had one. It was kind of a craze. And I asked my mother to get me a yo-yo. And I just kept pestering her. I didn't often do things like this, or I wasn't that kind of child. I was usually almost always quiet. And I remember she said, well, I'm going to stop in this store right here and see if they have yo-yos, so you'll be quiet. I don't guess she said that last part, but I got it. And so she went and came back out and didn't have a yo-yo. And I said, you didn't get a yo-yo? She says, no, they're too high. They're too high in there. And all I could think of was that the yo-yos were like on the top shelf up there, and my mom's pretty tall. And I asked her, I said, they didn't have a ladder? My mother was very frugal, and I think she probably got me a yo-yo. Strange that I don't remember that. I may have just completely forgotten about them. I've had yo-yos, but evidently she found one for me that was a little bit closer down to the floor. It wasn't quite so high. But Jesus' disciples were almost always scratching their head. I know sometimes if you want things to just be plain and simple, and sometimes your least favorite teacher in school was probably that teacher who befuddled you or challenged you or gave you problems that you couldn't solve. And maybe your least favorite preachers are those who preach over your head. Well, please, don't just be someone who just eats their favorite foods all the time, or reads their favorite passage every time you pick up the Bible, or you're always looking for your favorite song or wanting to just go to your favorite place. Experience things, have taste, diversity, learn things, grow, and experience all of God's wonders. And especially, don't ever be discouraged by things in the Bible that seem to be very difficult, or that are challenging to you, or that they even seem to be far beyond your reach or your capacity. Jesus' disciples were almost always saying, Or Jesus would look at him and say, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? Or he said, you don't get it, do you? And so he would go a little bit further, but he was always throwing. They were fishermen. Yeah, I feel like I'm a fisherman, that the Lord has been throwing things at me all my life. So please don't dodge or duck things that are hard. The things that are difficult, the things that are challenging, the things that push us and press us, that are up on the top shelf. Be willing to climb, to crawl, to dig. And so Jesus' parables kind of have a simple story that's almost like a fairy tale story. It's almost like Hansel and Gretel or the three bears or Goldilocks and the three bears. But then it's always told something far more important than just the surface story. So I want to talk with you today about party hats. Did I happen to mention to you that today is my birthday? Did I tell you that?
No, it's not.
It's not my birthday? Well, I wish it was. My family seems to make a big fuss about people when it's their birthday. And sometimes the only way to get any attention is like pretend it's your birthday or tell people it's your birthday. But here's a birthday party of a bunch of kids that I don't know who they are. But I found that on the internet. I want to talk with you about party hats. Now this is, when I'm finished today, and it's just not, I hope it's not just me, I hope that it's something that the Lord Jesus had to say. You may, and I want to challenge you because there's a possibility you could go away from church here today and someone asked you at lunch, well, what did your preacher preach on today? And you'd say, about party hats. That's what he preached about, party hats. So, and that would be all you got out of it, and that's what you tell everybody, and that's all you saw. You think, I don't think I've ever heard a sermon on party hats before. When Jesus talked about, he said, he had so many of his parables, he says, the kingdom of heaven is like this. What did Jesus talk about? He talked about a man who had two sons, and one of them got his inheritance and ran off and spent it all, and then he came back home, and it was a good story about a kid that went out and made some mistakes and came back home. Do you know that the parable of the prodigal son is not about that? I mean, at all. That's not what it's about at all. And so a lot of people, that's all they know. That's the story of the prodigal son. And it's not just a story about a man and two sons. It's really not. It's about some things that are far, far, far more important than that. And that's why Jesus told parables. Now, let's go on. I want to talk with you a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes people go to the party, and there is the host. It's sometimes the mom or the dad, and the first thing is give them noise. Here's your noise maker, and here's your party hat. You come in, and you may be the kind of person you don't want to wear a party hat because they look silly. And go back to that first slide there, Andy. Let's go back there. When you got a party hat on, you look silly. Doesn't that look silly? If I put a little thought into this sermon, you know what I would have done, don't you, with like little rocks? Give everybody a party hat. So, next time I preach this sermon, if I ever preach it again, I'm going to make sure that everybody has party hats. We're all going to put them on. But some people say, they're a little bit too reserved. They have some pride, and they come in and say, I'm happy to be here at the party, and I'll enjoy the party. I want some cake, and I'd like to watch the candles being blown out, and there's all the celebration and all the frivolity and the happiness. I'm here for that, but I'm just not that kind of person. I really look silly in a party hat. And I don't want to wear a party hat because it's really not me. You see, that kind of person he's a gloomy Gus. He's a downer. He's a party what? Pooper. Can you say that in church? He's a party pooper. He hadn't gotten with it. He's not in the groove. He's not showing his willingness to associate himself with the other silliness that's going on. And the thing about it is that the woman, the mother, or the father, or the parents, or the grandmother who bought those party hats, they really wanted everybody to wear them. It's part of the planning. And so when you say, oh no, I never do that, then here's a person, okay, we know what kind of person you are then. You go over here and sit. You just came here for the things you like, but you didn't come to be a team player. You didn't come to be a part of the party. You came to just enjoy the party. All right, let's go back to the cat again. You see, he don't really want to wear a party hat, but he's got one anyway. He's trying to fit in. Someone said, no. The thing about it is, when you go to a party, do you have to wear a party hat? No, you don't have to wear a party hat, do you? He didn't have to wear a party hat. It kind of looks like he did. Somebody talked him into it. You know, you should be more like this guy. Let's look at the next slide. There you go. That guy, he's ready to party. He's ready to party. He said, okay, let's go. Got a party hat on. And it's just a way of fitting in, of being a part, of identifying with the other people who are there, you know, making a connection. It's not just a bunch of people together. That if you look around, we're all wearing the same kind of hat. And so that kind of binds us together. Doesn't that sound silly? But it takes something very ridiculous like this. All of a sudden, we're all a member of the same club. We're all in this together, and we're all making a contribution. And a part of it might be just sacrificing your dignity in order to make the birthday girl or the birthday boy happy. All right, let's go on. Let's look at some scripture. You're going to turn with me in your Bible to Matthew's Gospel, chapter 22. This is a parable or a story that Jesus told. And it is about party hats. Jesus told some more parables. Some more parables. He was always telling parables. The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who prepared a marriage for his son. Now, as I said, you might finish reading this and say, well, this is a story about a man, a king, who prepared a marriage for his son. That's not what it's about at all. Please don't read the whole Bible your entire life and just read what's on the surface, because that's not what it's about at all. Something always stands for something else. It always means something different. You got to dig. You got to get a little deeper. This is not a story about a man, a king who had prepared a marriage for his son. He sent out all of his servants to call everyone who was invited to the wedding, and they would not come. He had sent out invitations, and they would not come. Again, he sent out other servants, saying, tell everyone who was invited, look, I've prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come to the marriage. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the rest of them took his servants and treated them cruelly and killed them. Now, I want you to see, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint right here. God says that knowing his son or being connected, like I was talking to the boys and girls over here, is kind of like being his bride. And he's like the bridegroom. The church, believers, we're like the bride of Christ. The Bible teaches this extensively. And it says that the kingdom of heaven is like God, who's the king, and he wants people to know his son. And he's preparing it's something to celebrate. But a lot of the people, you see, when Jesus came, a lot of the people rejected him. They wouldn't even come to the party. They wouldn't even come to, and then God sent his prophets and his teachers and his preachers and his ministers. And it says, the rest of them, they took his servants and treated them cruelly and killed them. Jesus is really talking about, look, Jesus is the bridegroom. The Heavenly Father is the king. God sent him. But a lot of people just said, I don't want to go to Jesus' wedding. I don't want to be a part of what God is doing. I have no intention. God is inviting me to something, but I don't want to go. You'll find that to be true. A lot of people don't want to believe in God. A lot of people don't want to be religious or spiritual. A lot of people have no interest in hearing about what God is about or what he's inviting them to. And sometimes, in order to show their great displeasure, it's not just a matter of saying, no, I'm not going or I'm not coming. Sometimes people have been very violent, physically violent, in their rejection of God. Okay, let's go on. But when the king heard what had happened, he was very angry. He's having a party. He's having a party. And people are saying, I'm not coming. Well, that will be enough. But then he sent and said, please, I sent in my servants, please come. And not only did they say, we told you we're not coming, the people who came to bring the invitations were mistreated, and some of them were killed. And it says the king was very angry. And he sent his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Now Jesus is saying something very severe to the Jewish people of his day. Not because they were Jews. Jesus was a Jew. He was not anti-Semitic. It wasn't because of their nationality or their race. It was because they were the people of God and they had rejected the Son of God. Not only that, they had murdered his inviters. And when Luke tells this story, he says that the man also next sent who? Who did he send next? He sent his son to go out and invite them, and they murdered him. Matthew doesn't tell that part of the story. The king sent his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned their city up. It started out as a story, an invitation to a party, and it turned out so badly. And it was not the king's intention. It was not what he wanted. And we find out that it's almost always true, for me or for you, that when I get what I deserve, it's a terrible thing. I hope that I never ask God, all I want is what I deserve. I never ever prayed that prayer. Oh no, I don't want to get what I deserve. Well, this is a situation where people got what they deserved. They were judged. And their judgment was judged. All right, let's go on. Then the king said to his other servants, the wedding is ready, but the ones who were invited are not worthy. So go out to the highways, as many as you find, and invite them. Invite everybody you can find to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with gifts. Leave it right there for just a minute, Andy. It was a part of God's plan. It was not an interruption in God's plan for Jesus to be rejected or for the invitation to be declined. You see, Jesus came to give his life, to lay down his life as a sacrifice. In God's intricate, amazing plan, it involved the rejection of the people of God so that salvation could then be offered to everyone and anyone. And so these servants go out and they're just grabbing everybody, every warm body. Luke also adds something. He says, go into the highways. And what else did he say? The hedges. The hedges. Go out into the hedges. Go beat the bushes. Go out there and say, hey, come in. What? Come on to the wedding. Something to eat there? Yeah, come on, I'm coming. The wedding was furnished with gifts. All right, let's go on. And when the king came in, the wedding's going on. Imagine all that music and noise and the food and the clink of plates and glasses and silverware. When the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man who was not wearing the provided wedding garment. The king comes in and he wants to see everybody is having a good time. Everybody's invited, and there's people at the wedding. People have come. And he sees there a man who was not wearing the provided wedding garment. And he said to him, this king said to this man who wasn't wearing the wedding garment, friend, why have you come to the wedding, but you're not wearing a wedding garment? Why are you here? You're not wearing a wedding garment. The man was speechless. What did the man lack? What was it he didn't have on? His party hat. He didn't have on his party hat. He didn't have on... You see, one thing that the king did, he not only provided the music and the entertainment and the clowns and the magicians and the food and the music and the flowers, just everything, he also provided for everyone there. There was something, maybe you didn't like the kind of music they were playing, or you liked this kind of food but not that kind of food. You wanted to dance, or you don't dance, but there was one thing that connected everybody there at the party. The king had also provided that everybody have a wedding garment. They didn't have to go buy it. They didn't have to make it. It wasn't something that they either could afford or couldn't afford. It was something that when they came to the door, everybody that came in got a wedding garment. So, he knows that he gave strict orders for there to be plenty of wedding garments. And so he knows that if a person didn't have a wedding garment, this man might say, well, they ran out. Well, he didn't. It says he was speechless. Do you know why he was speechless? Because when they said, welcome to the wedding, sir, to the king's son, here's your wedding garment. Do you know why this man is speechless? Do you know what he said to them when they offered him a wedding garment? Do you know what he said? He said, I don't want one. I don't want one. What did the servant then say? Everybody's got one. This is from the king. He made this for you. He provided this for you. This is a nice thing. It's probably not as silly as a party hat. It's something probably very nice. And everybody at the wedding has one. It's if you look around, we're different colors and races. We're men and women, and children. We're all different kinds of people. But if you look around, there's something that kind of holds us all together. It's something that makes us all one. And we all have wedding garments. He was speechless. All right, let's look at the next slide. Then the king said to the servants, bind him hand and foot and take him away. Throw him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. Now, remember when we used to do Aesop's fables and we used to hear stories when we were children, there was like a moral to the story. The bottom line on this, Jesus drew a line under the story and says, let me tell you what this means. Many are called, but few are chosen. They tied this guy up. Let's look at the next slide, man. They tied this guy up and they threw him into outer darkness. The word for garment in the text that Matthew uses is the Greek word enduma. It's the Greek word enduma. So it's a wedding garment, which means it's a wedding enduma. And very literally, this word just means it's a have. It's a have. You know, like you go to a party and someone gives everybody a bag that has doodads in it. It's a party favors. It's something they want you, what? To have. Here's a have. And, you know, that's a strange word. It's a wedding have. We get our word endowment from that. It's similar to the word endow. An endowment. An endowment is something that you present to someone. It's a have. It's a something we gave you to wear. An endowment. It's probably, I used to think when it was a garment, it means it was a suit of clothes, or at least a robe, or some kind of dress that you put on over your clothes. But it doesn't have to be anything quite that elaborate or quite that cumbersome or anything. It was just, all it had to be was just to have. Here's something. Let me show you what I think it was. Let's go on to the next slide. I've never been to Hawaii. You can tell because I don't know how to pronounce it. Have you been to Hawaii? How do you pronounce it?
Hawaii.
It's Hawaii. Hawaii.
Hawaii.
So that's on way. Now, when you get off the plane in Hawaii, they'll put a wreath of flowers around your neck. Everybody gets one. Guess who doesn't get one? Not everybody gets a lei. Randy called a lei. It is an L-E-I, a lei. But everybody doesn't get one. Who doesn't get one? The person who says, oh, those make me sneeze. Oh, that's probably got bees in it. I'd really rather not. Why don't you give mine to somebody else? So everybody doesn't get one. That's what happens when you go to Hawaii. And probably about everywhere you go, when you go out to eat, or you go to the luau, you go down to the beach, it's just something that Hawaiian people do. It's a way of saying, here's a have. Here's a have. Here's something we want you to wear. And you don't have to wear it. If you don't wear this lei, you have to leave Hawaii. No, there's no lei police. But all you got to do is look around and you can pick out the party poopers, No, I just want some pork that's been cooked all day. I want to see them dance with those fire swords. I really don't want to fit in. I don't want to be a part. I want to get in the spirit of things. I don't want to be a part of the festivities. I just want to be an observer and give me something to eat and drink. And I just want to do what I want to do. And I have no intention of submitting myself to what you think would be fun. Let's go on to the next slide. That's Vice President Pence and a recent trip to Israel. And you see he's got his hand on the wall there and he's praying. And here's a picture in Jerusalem. And this is the only part of the original wall of Jerusalem that is still left. The rest of it's kind of a reconstruction. But there's the Temple Mount. Right in this area is where the Solomon's Temple was. But this is called the Western Wall. When you're speaking with your Jewish friends, don't call it the Wailing Wall. Somebody started calling it that many years ago, and people do wail there, they do that. But it's called the Western Wall, and I've gone there, Terry and I have gone there to pray, and that's what Vice President Pence is doing. I used him not because I'm promoting politics today. I can't help but do that just a little bit, but I could have picked a number of people. President Obama, no doubt, went to the wall and prayed. There are probably some pictures of him praying. President Bush, President Clinton, there's no doubt. But I was a little bit lazy, so forgive me if that offends you. But if you're a man and you go into that area to pray, you cannot pray at the Western Wall with your head uncovered. You can't. And it would not, there are a lot of our people that went with us had baseball caps or hats, and you wouldn't want to wear like a baseball cap. Do you know what that hat is called traditionally among Jewish people, Hebrew people? It's a yarmulke. It's a yarmulke. Don't ever call that a beanie. That's not a beanie. That's disrespectful. But it seems obvious to me that Vice President Pence he's made preparations. There are people, they have little paper yarmulkes there that they're passing out because you can't just walk over and say, no, I'm a Baptist, I'm just going to go up and do it the way I want. They're going to say, no, see this little 14-year-old guy over here with Uzi? He'll shoot you. So you can't go up there and just pray saying, well, I'm not Jewish. Vice President Pence is not Jewish, but he's respectful. And so when I went, I had not been prepared. I got me a little paper yarmulke that they gave me and put it on my head. All the men do that. And all the women pull the drape over their head. You got something to put over your head. Cover your head. So they say, here, what is that? It's a have. It's something I want you to have. It's something you need to have. Because everybody else along this wall right here, guess what? They all have one. And this is really, really, really important. Let's go on, Andy. Now this is something too. There's men and women. If you ever get a chance to go to holy places, and I mean not just in Israel, but you go to holy places, if you got your pedal pushers on, or your short pants. Short pants for men and women. I mean short pants that show your knees. There's a lot of those holy places that you can't go in like that. And so they just have things to give you. They say, here. And so this is my rule. I never wear short pants. You know why? Because men who wear short pants look dumb.
That's your opinion.
Men who wear short pants, their legs look dumb, they look dumb. So I'm never going to say it to you, but when I see you and you're wearing your short pants, when I kind of look at you, you can know just what I'm thinking. You look silly. Men should wear long pants. That's just, that has nothing to do with the sermon. But, so I never have to worry about this because I've always got the pants on. I never wear short pants. Well, outside the house. And every once in a while, I'll wind up in some place that's about 800 miles away from home and open my suitcase, and guess what my wife had me to wear that day? Short pants. I said, well, I'm going to look dumb all day today. But you got to take that wrap around you. Now, this is a woman that she was prepared, and she kind of brought her little skirt. If you don't want to wrap a tablecloth around you, or a duster or something when you go to the Holy Land, then you'll make little preparations. And the women that we went with have been there before. They had their own little wrap. They had it with them in their purse, a little light thing. Take it out and wrap it around them, because if you want to go in there to this place where something very, very important happened in Bible history, this is a have. You got to have it. They won't let you in without it. Okay? All right, let's go on. We don't do this in the South. We don't do this in the South. Do you know what this armband is? Up north, and in some places out west, when you go to a funeral or if someone has died, you wear an armband. Now sometimes when you're watching a sporting event or some public event on television, you'll see people wearing armbands. And it's usually, almost always, to designate or a memorial. An armband is something you put on. Now, what I'm showing you here are the kinds of things. They are, each and every one of these that I've shown you are endowments. They're endowments. It may very well have been what was being distributed at the wedding in the story that Jesus is telling. Just something to wrap around your arm. Just something to put on your head. So that you can look out and you can see everybody's on board. Everybody's participating. Everybody's trying to say, we may be very different. We may not all agree. We're not all related to the bride or the groom, but this is something that the person who invited us said, this is what I want you to do. And so we're doing our best to comply. An armband. Okay, let's go on. This is what we do. We sign a guest book. When we go to the funeral home, we sign a guest book. But there's always something else along with the guest book. You know what it is? It's an endowment. It's a little card. It's an obituary. It tells you a little bit about the person that you came to honor. It's that little card right there. It's an obituary card. And you take that with you. And you look at it. And it's something you take to your seat. You may not keep it. You're not required to present it or show it. You don't have to save it. It's not a pass. But it is something that the family or the friends are saying, we want you to have something that says thank you. We want something for you to be able to take with you. It's a have. It's a have. This is what we do in the South. These are endowments. Let's go on. Not everybody in our weddings gets one of these, but this is called a boutonniere. And in our weddings today, that if it's a formal affair, usually all of the bridesmaids will have corsages, and all of the groomsmen will have boutonnieres. It's pinned on them because of this story. It is something you can look up, and it doesn't matter if they're mingling and the music is playing and the wedding hasn't started. You can look around. You can tell everybody that's in the wedding party. Do you know how? Because they all have a boutonniere or a corsage. They have a corsage on their wrist. All the groomsmen, and even the preacher, you can tell he's part of the party, the wedding party, because he's got a boutonniere on. It's a have. It designates them. It connects them all. It makes them fit. It shows I'm a part. I'm participating. Endowment is a have. It's an endowment. So let me ask you your question. This is the question you need to know about for you in this story today. You've been invited too. God invites people to His Son. He invites. That's what the gospel is. It's an invitation to the wedding feast of His Son. God is inviting people through you and through me, through His servants. He's inviting everybody in the highways and the hedges. He's saying, come on. Come on and come to my Son's wedding. And what He's saying is ask Jesus into your heart. Be born again. Say the sinner's prayer. Repent of all your sins. Receive the forgiveness that's like drinking water or like eating bread from heaven. All those different ways are the ways that the Bible teaches it. Here's a way that it says God is inviting people. And people respond. People come to the wedding. But then, let me ask you this question. If you know that God has invited you to Himself, God has invited you to Him. That's really what it is. Not just an invitation to a party. And you've come to the party. You've said yes. To the best of your ability, to the best that you know, you have responded to God's invitation to you. Let me ask you this question. Where's your have? Where's your have? You got it? Everybody's got to have. There are things that are expected of every Christian. There are things that Christians do. There are things that betray us as Christians. There are things that people can look at us and they know that we're Christians. It's like having a hat on. It's like having a flower in your lapel. It's something, it gives you away. Now, is it the have that gets you into the wedding? No. It's when you get to the wedding, they give you a have. Everybody gets one. Can you get to heaven if you don't have a have? Let me tell you something. I love my brothers and sisters in the Church of Christ, but this is where they get all tied up about baptism. Baptism is a have. You see? Baptism is something God gives you. He said, this is what everybody else is doing. This is what I have expected everybody else to do. Now, our brethren, many of our brethren believe that it's baptism that saves you. But they're just a little confused. And they would get mad at me if they heard me say that about them. But we know that baptism is something God gives you to say, here's baptism, here's the Lord's Supper. It's something that all the guests have. Here's your have. It's not what gets you into the wedding. It's because you're already at the wedding. It's something that everybody does. It's something I expect you to wear. Baptism, Lord's Supper, church attendance, giving your gifts during the time of offering, serving, praying, reading your Bible. Those are all halves. You got a half? Let's look right here. Go to the next slide. About done. Let me say something right here. This is a picture of a group of people that they're on their way to the United States of America. they're in Central America, or probably even in Mexico now. They're headed this way. Listen, the United States of America, your country and mine, maybe not your country, I know mine, my country, we bring in more legal immigrants than any other country in the world. We bring in people by the millions every year. We have the most liberal and generous and wonderful legal immigration policy and process of anybody in the entire world. Do you know why? Because this is a wonderful country. There's a lot of people in our country today that seem like they don't like America, like they hate America. I love America. I'm so glad to be an American. I'm glad to be a United States citizen. I was born a citizen. I was born in Pontiac, Michigan. You may not think that that's in the United States of America, but it is. And listen, people have come into our country, have built our country. They've prospered our country. They've grown things. They've picked things. They've invented things. They've manufactured things. They've thought of things. They've come up with cures and every kind of wonderful thing imaginable, because our ancestors came here, unless I guess we were Native Americans, and don't believe that they just popped up here out of the ground either. They came here from somewhere else too. And listen, a lot of those people right there are going to become legal citizens of the United States of America. They're going to get to the line. They're going to be vetted. They're going to be examined. Yeah, they might be split up. Their husbands and wives might be put in different rooms, different locations. Their children might be removed from them from this little wall. They're sorting things out. You know that there are thousands of people, thousands of children every year that cross through this way, legally and illegally, who become a part of the child trafficking, sex trafficking trade. Thousands of them. A lot of people coming up and say, oh yeah, this is my little girl. They find out that's not his little girl at all. That's just somebody he's bringing over to sell. And there are people who might be bringing drugs. There might be people who are criminals trying to get away from the law in their country. There's everything you can imagine here. But let me tell you something else. There are some people here in that crowd right there that are going to build things, and they're going to invent things. And they're going to write songs, and they're going to write books and plays. And they're going to work hard, and they're going to become American citizens. And they're going to be great successes because there's wonderful opportunity here. But listen, there are lots and lots of these people who intend to break through illegally. And I don't know if you can see it out from this picture. A lot of these people are waving foreign flags. If you're coming to the land of the free and the home of the brave, why would you be waving the flag from your communist country? I don't know. So, listen, these people are going to have to be given a path at the gate. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but our president has indicated that he's willing to bring in thousands of these people who wish to come in legally, but that not any of them are going to be able to enter illegally. Not a one. Not a one. That may sound harsh and cruel. It may sound vindictive and mean. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Jesus said, this is what God's like. When he looks out over the wedding and you don't have a half, tie him up, he said, bind him hand and foot, and throw him out. Do you know that everybody's not going to get to heaven? And there are going to be lots of people, Jesus said, who think they deserve to get into heaven, and they're not going to get in. Jesus said, I'm trying to tell you right now that you've got to do things God's way or no way at all. Jesus said, many are called, but few are chosen. I see church members and Christians, I've served with many people in many different ways. They'll attend church, they'll be observers and watchers. They'll sit in the pew, they'll sit on the sidelines. But they never actually become a part. They never join in. They never participate. They never make that connection. They just, this man felt like if he was at the wedding, he was good to go. Now, does this story teach that unless you're baptized, you can't get into heaven? No, it really doesn't teach that. Does it teach that if you don't have a party hat, you can't get into heaven? In a way it does. Because really what he's saying is that the people that are really the chosen ones, they pitch in. They get assimilated. I think that people that come into this country, they show their heart and they say, I wish I could stay in my country, but I'm going to learn to speak English. I'm going to raise the American flag in my front yard. I'm going to become a legal American citizen. And I'm not a Mexican American. I'm not an Indian American. I'm not a Native American. I'm not an African American. I'm not a Chinese American. I'm just an American. I came here, I want to fit in. I want to be a part. I want to say, I'm with you. I'm one of you. You're one of me. Where's your half? Do you have a half? There are things that God expects to be a part of the decoration in your life that let other people know, hey, you're one of us. You're one of us. And there's going to be a lot of people stand before God one day and they say, well, I got an invitation to the wedding. You know what Jesus is going to say? You don't have a half. You don't have a half. You never did fit in. You never did become a part. You never did throw in. You never did become what you needed to become. God's kind of mean like that. You have a half. You got an invitation. Have you ever accepted it? Look at your life. Say, what is in my life that connects me with all of God's other people? What is it that we are all wearing or doing or saying? What is it that we're a part of or that we're participating in or that characterizes my life that is also a part of their life? Do I have that? Where's your hat? Let me pray for you. Lord Jesus, thank you. If there's someone here today who has received your invitation and never responded to it, I pray that they would say, I do, I will, I'm coming. Yes, whatever it means. I'm asking you into my heart. I'm ready to walk an aisle, sign a card. I'm raising my hand, Lord. I'm praying prayer. I want to do anything that I can to let you know that thank you for the invitation. I'm coming. But if there's someone here today, Lord, and they think just simply because they've gone through some kind of religious ritual or because they've sat on a pew, that they're apart, when they have deliberately refused all of the things that would signify to anyone that they want to be a part of the wedding party. Lord, you may be speaking in so many different other ways that I'm not aware of, which I'm not aware. Move in our midst. Do great things. But I know it all has to be done your way or no way at all. I ask this in your name. Every head bowed.